Normally I wouldn't post a video response to a video like this, but I thought this video was fairly well done and definitely interesting. I just watched a video by VenomFangX, and he states some fairly interesting things. He's a fundamentalist Christian. You definitely need to go check out this guy's video, but don't even think about rating. You can comment it. But all of his videos, except for the first one, have 5 stars, and have only been rated once, then the ratings were disabled. So, yeah, VenomFang, you slippery snake. Okay, he has 2 videos that I want to respond to, that I want to comment on. The first one, he tries to prove God. He says attempts to prove God. And the second one, he talks about evolution. Okay, well, in the first video, he attempts a technique that a lot of people from different religions have attempted. And this is the proof by contradiction that actual infinites are impossible. And if without infinity, then you can go on to some other interesting things. Okay, so the argument goes like this. Assume actual infinites do exist, and sometime in the future, an infinite amount of time away, I will give you a candy bar. Do I ever have to give you the candy bar? No, because all I have to do is say, I'll give it to you tomorrow, and do that infinite amount of time, and then I never have to give you the candy bar. Now, the reason this actually does not work is because we've assumed that actual infinites are possible, therefore all you have to do is wait an equal amount of infinite time and receive the candy bar. You see, some infinites can be larger or smaller than others, and as long as you're waiting for an infinite amount of time that's equal or larger than the infinite amount of time that you're going to receive the candy bar, then you actually get the candy bar. Okay, you probably won't accept that. So let's see, what about the universe is infinitely big, so if I keep going in this direction, then I can go for an infinite amount of space. Well, you say, well, we might be in a bubble, or some kind of gravitational field, or some event horizon type of thing on the universe. Okay, what about space inside the universe? Well, it's a finite amount of space, but what about position of space? So I can be here, I can like move over an inch, I can move over half an inch, half of an inch, and I can move a billionth of that and a billionth of that. Imperceptible, but still not in the same place, and I can do this an infinite amount of times. So I can be in an infinite number of places, even in my own house. And given an infinite amount of time, I would never even be in the same place twice. Infinite amount of time, never in the same place. So actual infinites are possible. Alright. But even if we assume that actual infinites are not possible, you still haven't shown that God is possible. The way you show this, and that VenomFang attempted to prove, is that matter and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And since actual infinites are not possible, the universe had to have started 6,000 years ago, as he says, fundamentalist Christian. And then when we get here, well then obviously, since the universe cannot have created itself, God or something, some unknown force outside the universe had to have created it, since it couldn't have created itself. It would be inconsistent. But this is really how proof by contradiction works. If matter and energy cannot be destroyed nor created, then when does the universe end? Well, it doesn't. Time will just keep going on and on and on. Well, that's inconsistent with their premise, which stated that actual infinites are impossible, because now the universe will not end, because that would be inconsistent with matter and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So that premise by itself is not consistent. So you can't use that kind of proof to prove that there's a God. And then, of course, even if you do, we'll say, oh yeah, there's a God, and he's a flying spaghetti monster. Well, what are you going to do now? Now, his second video is about evolution. Now, this thing, oh my goodness. Now, I love evolution. I use it as part of my job. But when I was a fundamentalist Christian a long time ago, I would go to these debates between creationists and evolutionists, and I would boo and hiss at the people that was doing the debating on the evolution side. And of course, the other guy would wear a monkey suit or something funny. I mean, it was always kind of crazy, and lots of Christians and a few atheists, and we would always laugh and say funny things. But of course, I never really even paid any attention to what the evolutionist was saying. Now that I've went through school and I've actually thought about it myself, I mean, I can't even. I'm completely on the other side now. The creationist is just the crazy person. So anyway, I see in his video he talks about let's see, oh my goodness, like the whale becoming a cow or something. Well, first of all, cows actually came from oxen because they were domesticated by man, sort of like a Cocker Spaniel. Took a little bit longer, same thing. But they did not come from whales. Actually, whales would have come from the cow. It'd be just the opposite, or from the ox or some kind of mammal like this. Actually, from the dolphin, and then it's the whale. Now, you said something about the vestigial bones that are used for sex, and therefore it couldn't get rid of them, or it couldn't have evolved them because it would have had to have them to enable them to be evolved, because then they couldn't reproduce without the organs or something like this. What you should have said is that evolution could not have, does reproduce with these bones. I mean, it certainly could have got rid of the bones, but no, they were attached to the sexual organs, and it had something to do with that function. So it's completely reasonable that the bones would have changed shape from the land mammal, the hips and the legs, and then have become the whale and have a different function for the whale. That's just how it works. This happens in the flagellum of protozoa and all this kind of stuff. Parts will be reassigned. Oh my goodness, and he said 50-foot men bones that we're finding. Can you imagine the femur of a 50-foot person? And do you have any reference for these 50-foot skeletons? I mean, fossils of people, you know, the giants. I suppose you get unicorn bones too. I mean, they're there in the Bible, giants and unicorns. Okay, so these 50-foot Adam and Eve people, I guess they were because we got shorter or something. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's see. Okay, we got the whales, the clean cows, and we got the 50-foot people. Oh yeah, the forks and the spoons, great. I love the forks and the spoons. He showed a picture where you got a fork, and then you got a spoon, and then you got a spork, and then you got more of a spork, and then of course you end up with a fork. And so you can show the evolution. He showed this because he showed like a prehistoric horse, and then it becomes a modern day horse. And I mean, I've seen these things in museums too. No scientist is really going to laugh at that. But anyway, he showed the forks and spoons and how they would evolve. Actually, the fork comes from a knife, not the spoon. The spoon doesn't have anything to do with the forks and the knives. And there used to be, forks used to have two prongs. Actually, it's a funny story. A princess comes from the Byzantine Empire into Vienna. I believe it was Vienna. And this upsets everybody. It's like 11th century. People are just freaking out over this. I mean, they haven't seen forks. People eat with their hands. And the clergy, I forgot the guy that made this quote. Let's see, what did he say? That God gave you the proper utensils to eat with. Your fingers. And every time you use these metal forks to eat with, then you're insulting God. So that's right. Forks, these two-pronged forks are against God. They're from Satan. And of course, you got 4 and 3 and 4 prongs. So the devil has helped us get these utensils so we stop using our fingers to eat. But anyway, it's a good example of evolution. You got the spoon and the fork. Well, what happens is that the spoon, assume that the utility of the fork has not been found, but there's this niche that has not been filled. And of course, so you got to use your fingers, or it's just not filled at all. So you got the spoon, but then some spoons, if they could evolve and then they could mutate a little, then they would have the prongs. And so then you got and then of course they would get better prongs. But since the niche of the spoon, has already been taken care of, then the ones with the prongs doesn't have to scoop anymore, so therefore they become more prong-like, and then you get forks. So it's actually a pretty good example of evolution. I don't know what's so funny about it. I mean, goodness, I think it's a good picture. I might even save that and use that for evolution sometime if I got to explain it to somebody. Spoons to sporks to forks. Okay, yeah, I think you've been listening to that Kent Hovind guy a little too much. You've got all his videos favorited. I mean, atheists love these kind of people. All these preachers having sex with male prostitutes that are on drugs, and Kent Hovind having all the, not paying his taxes, and I mean, oh my goodness, what's wrong with all these people? Shouldn't they be good people? Why is it that 0.7% of people in the jails are atheists, But like 10% of the people in America are atheists. I mean, shouldn't it be proportionate there, 10%? It is just great, I think. Actually, even Bakonin. I think in the point on Bakonin, since I mentioned Kent Hovind, Bakonin has something to say on this. This is Calypso 119. Is it 119? Something like that. Where has my good old gang done gone? I heard a man say. I whispered in that sad man's ear, your gang's done gone away.